What's up, guys? Welcome back to another video. Today is going to be one to teach you how to do a foot jam whip on flat ground, on a bank, and a quarter pipe. We're at a skate park that is very well rounded and suitable for all those obstacles, including the flat ground. Flat surface is key with doing the flat ground foot jam whip, which we're going to get to first. But if you're new to doing this style of trick, you want to make sure that you're able to do a brakeless endo on flat ground. A brakeless endo is going to be key to be able to do it on a bank and a quarter pipe. Flat ground, for those of you guys that are new to doing tricks, is going to be a perfect trick for you to learn in your driveway or a local parking lot. All right, John is going to be your teacher on flat ground and showing you how to do the foot over the top tube method, which is...
Yeah, it's just the easiest to learn.
It's also the hardest to go back to.
Yeah, that's true, yeah, because we're so used to doing, like Mike said, that it's a little nollie. It's not nose mail or nothing. It's just enough to get over and put your foot in the tire. But I don't know, for all y'all just trying it, it's safer and a lot easier just to get the technique down, and then you just got to move up and start doing nollies and then get just throwing your foot over.
So after we show them how to do the foot over the top tube method, I want you to show everyone what you're talking about with the
nollie.
Yeah.
Okay. All right, first thing you want to do is just get comfortable with having your foot in like a can like over on the side and ride with it so you're stable and everything. So you're just putting your foot over like that. Second, you just got to jam it in the tire. You feel comfortable with it. And then after that, when you get comfortable with putting your foot in the tire, you eventually want to start kicking with your back foot, which I'll show now. And it should go around. So you put your foot over, I slow down a little bit, and then you, like that.
Nice. The one thing you didn't tell everyone is how you cuffed your foot to where your feet were level, like your cranks. So why don't you tell everyone how you did that? Because I know it's like a little hidden move when you're kicking it around right there, but a lot of people might not be able to see it.
Right. So when you're, you can't, if you have brakes, do not ride your finger on the trigger or it won't cuff at all. But as you put your foot in your tire, you want to cuff up with the back foot and it becomes level.
Okay.
So it's like as you're kicking it, you're actually putting your foot up and it brings your cranks.
So try to kick yourself in the butt.
Yeah, pretty much.
Okay, with your foot on the pedals, then it makes your cranks like that.
Completely level. Instead of like this, where you could probably get hurt pretty good.
Yeah. Let's do another one. Let's show everyone for another demonstration.
All right. So
I'll try to slow this one down for everyone to see. Nice. Now I'm going to show you the proper method, I guess you would say, with the actual endo technique. The endo technique is going to be what helps you to be able to get that whole technique going for the bank and the quarter pipe. But you also don't want to do this portion unless you already know how to do it. But I'll give you an idea on kind of what it looks like. It'll look something like this. Now you're not going to go over the bars. You just want to lift the back wheel up enough to be able to have control, to be able to understand that feeling. To kind of get yourself able to be able to take your foot off, maybe do one like that and land one-footed. That will teach you to be able to get your foot off and probably over the top tube in the next couple goes. Which that's what we'll do right here. We'll do an endo footer over the top tube. So the next step will be to try to get that foot in the tire. And that whole technique that you learned with John is going to be implemented with this. So you're basically going to try to marry the two of them together, and the beginning stage of it is actually the most difficult. Once you get your foot in the tire, you're going to be using that same technique that John taught you with the foot cuffing the actual crank arm so that your cranks are level, so that when it comes around, you land both feet on the pedals. I'll show you. I'll try to slow it down for you so you kind of understand what I'm saying. In the tire, on the pedals. It's really hard to kind of slow the method up any more than that, because if you go any slower, the bike's going to go too slow and you're going to lose your balance. But basically, when you're on the tire, the closer you are to the bar, the more control that you have over the bike. I know that might not make as much sense. A lot of you guys might be a little fearful and you want to be further away from the bike, but the closer you are to the bike, the more, you know, of an eye you have on the pedals coming around. You're watching them. And usually when it gets like this point, you're jumping to the pedals. All right, so now John is going to implement that same technique on the face of this bank. Now you have an option. You can either do the face of the bank or the top of the bank. We'll get to the top section. The top section is actually going to be a little bit more difficult to kind of gauge your speed, but that will also set you up for learning on a quarter pipe. Now a quarter pipe is going to be a lot harder, or I'd say near impossible to do it on the face of it, unless you have a front brake. But John will show you how it's done here on the bank, and I'll show you a downside foot jam whip after that. And we'll show you the difference of the technique that you have to do to be able to get into both of them.
as you guys seen, I use the same techniques on this bank here, but it's all personal preference on steep or mellow banks. If you come up the bank and do like a slight 90, when you get into the foot gym, when you feel confident enough, the whip's actually going to have you rotate the rest of the way to come down the bank straight. Also, as the whip comes around, you gotta commit. If not, you can get your legs tangled up, your bars might turn on you, and it would be a mess.
Yeah, we're not gonna show them that today.
No.
You've been on fire today. We're not gonna get any falls out of you.
Please no, please no.
Only hoagies and soups. All right, so the difference between John's regular foot jam whip and my downside foot jam whip is obviously gonna be the switch direction. It's gonna be switch because I'm turning to the right. I usually turn to the left and it would look like John's. So when you're turning to the right, you're doing that same endo, you're gonna do the endo like that. It's gonna be a little bit harder. You wanna be able to spin while you're doing the endo, because when you do that, your bike's gonna be letting go like this while your foot's in the tire and meets you halfway. So the bike will be here and then you commit and jump on it at this point. Now, like John said, it's all personal preference. It doesn't matter what kind of bank you go with. My personal preference is the bigger and steeper the bank, the easier it is for me to do it because of the rotation. It's actually way better. I feel like it just feels a lot cleaner. So as much as that one might seem like it's cooler, it's definitely a lot more effort, but it's also a lot more fun. I think it's, I don't know, just the technique of like meeting your bike halfway and kind of seeing it around like that versus whiplashing it around faster is just my personal preference. And that right there is one of our favorite foot jam whips just because of the technique. The whole technique just feels natural. We're gonna move over to the quarter pipe right now, and this is where it's gonna get really interesting and probably at its most difficult stage. So let's head over there and kind of work our way through the same techniques we did here on flat ground and on the bank and try to implement them on top of the quarter pipe. All right, so you wanna find yourself a nice mellow quarter pipe. I say mellow because it's gonna be a lot harder on a steeper transition. This right here, I'm not really cool with how much I got to work with here because the fence is a little bit close, so I have a problem where my back wheel will hit here. So I have to do it right here on the corner, but we are gonna do a couple foot jams to see how close you have to be to the coping. You don't wanna be too far on the deck, because if you're too far on the deck, it is a big pull going back in, and you don't really wanna land flat or blow off the bike. So I will show you how close you have to be to the coping for the foot jam, and then we will do the same technique. Now you're not gonna be able to do the foot over the crossbar like we did on flat ground, or half-ass this. You're gonna have to full commit the same technique onto the top and commit going in. But if you half-ass it, it's game over. You're gonna fall, slide out, and it won't feel fun. So let's just do the foot jams and kind of get our way up to it. All right, so the same endo technique is gonna be a little bit different here because this quarter pipe. This quarter pipe, I'm generating a lot of speed. So I'm gonna wanna start and de-pump that quarter pipe first to kind of get rid of a lot of the speed, because I don't want to go too far in this quarter pipe. I'm gonna use that same endo technique, and I'm not gonna hop into it. Hopping into it is a whole different foot jam whip, and we can revisit that in a later video if you guys want to see that technique. But I'm gonna do that same roll up technique and kind of show you what it looks like. You might want to back up a little bit just in case the bike
yeah, oh yeah,
gets
definitely.
a little close to you. You don't want to scare your viewers.
No whippersnappers in the facers.
Right there. All right, so you can implement that technique basically on any quarter pipe. Also, try to find yourself a quarter pipe that is just a quarter, not a mini ramp. You'll have a lot easier of a time setting up your speed. All right, as you can see as I roll up the quarter pipe, I'm not doing a foot jam like I was doing earlier. I was using those foot jams to kind of gauge where I wanted to land on the deck. I'm actually doing that same endo that we taught you in the beginning of the video. And that endo technique, you want to kind of dive into it a little bit harder than you normally would on flat ground, because you want to be able to get that back end up to be able to get that foot over the top tube and on the tire. You're going to still use that same cuffing technique that we taught you in the beginning of the video, using your foot to cuff your pedal up to get those pedals level, so that when the bike is coming around and you see it at that 270 portion, you want to be able to hop on the pedals with confidence. Now the hardest part is going to be getting on those pedals and riding away. And then after you ride away, you're going to ride away totally stoked. So I hope this video helped you out. If you guys have any other suggestions for future how-tos, drop those in the comments. I really want to try to tackle as many of these videos as I can this year to be able to help you guys out. If you guys have any other suggestions for future session videos or will it ride videos, you know what to do. Put them in the comments below. If you like this video, drop a like. If you love it, hit the subscribe button, and I'll catch you in the next one.